Hi everyone, it's Coffee Stitcher at long last, back from getting everything ready for a move. And I have a dog who is incredibly curious as to what I'm doing. He's a good boy, so you may get a sudden surprise visit from my dog. This is the new filming location. I really probably will not do much stitching actually here. I'll mostly stitch in the living room with, yes, there's a Remy there. Hello, Remy. Hello. Yes, he's very... Come on. There we go. Will that make you happy? Will this make you happy? Say hello to Remy, everybody. Remy, say hello to everyone. He's terrified of the blender, and G2 is making smoothies milkshakes while I film, because it's Milkshake Monday in this place. So, there's, oof, okay. Now he's curious, but he may be back. So, hello. I will probably stitch mostly out in the living room. That way I can be with him when we're doing stuff. But this is a good filming location because it's got really good light. It's got my pictures, it's got my chair, so it's a great place. Made it through the move. We're still getting things finalized location-wise. So that's coming. Hopefully we will have answers, or not answers, hopefully we'll have it all finished this week. So, furniture's all in, everything's basically there, it's just now, where do we put everything? Let's organize it, let's make it look pretty. I guess we'll do the update. I've only got a little bit of haul. I've got the questions. If you have a comment, I may not have commented. It's just because I'm still catching up. This is literally the first time my laptop has been open since before the move started. So, a lot hasn't been done. Okay, so first, E.F. Bauer asked me about, we'll do Q&A, asked me about Wicked. Have I read it, seen it, and what did I think about it? I have read it twice, maybe 3 times, but definitely twice. I really love the musical. I liked the book, I loved the musical, 2 very different creatures. I don't consider it canon. It's not really canon. It actually irritates me when people are like, oh, Elphaba and Scarecrow! No. 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 But I do really love the musical. It was the first musical I saw on Broadway. I saw the original cast. I was 18. Actually, I was 17. I hadn't turned 18 yet. And it was absolutely fabulous. So that's my feeling on Wicked. Alright. Mary Anderson Dick. Loved the room I was in. That actually was my bedroom, but my mother both basically decorated it because it was the guest bedroom, and then I outgrew the room I'd been in, so she said, well, if you want to sleep in the guest bedroom, you can. So that's where that was. So that was actually my mother's doing. Emily, yes, you did send me those pictures. G. Moss. Dumb question. What pattern is We Are Diane Williams? What does that mean? I have to refer you a little bit to the first group video, and it's on Katie's feed. Strange thought just dropped. Diane Williams, the reason it's called We Are Diane Williams is it's Home of a Needleworker, and it has Diane Williams' name on it. And while we were in Stitch Niche, I said, I wonder how many people, I was like, oh, okay. And I looked at it, I was like, it doesn't have any charting to substitute your own name. You're supposed to figure it out. I wonder how many people stitch Diane Williams' name, because they don't realize they're supposed to put their name there. And then I was like, I'm gonna stitch this with Diane Williams' name. And then it sort of evolved into We Are Diane Williams. We Are Diane Williams. So that's where that came from. There's a better, if you watch the video, it all makes sense. Carolina, thank you. I decided not to use it for the straw, the DMC memory thread for the straw and Scarecrow. I'm gonna actually use it for his ropes. And I will be doing that closer to actual finishing time, because I have to figure out how to do that still. But I just didn't want to deal with that while moving. Beverly Evanger asked if my friend, my G2, my boyfriend, stitch as well, and that's totally okay how you worded that. He does not. He says it's pretty, he understands why I enjoy doing it, but he has 0 interest in doing it himself. Brian, Super Stitcher, aside from Oz and we'll say Harry Potter, what are your top 3 childhood books/series? Chronicles of Narnia, hands down. That's the first one that comes to mind. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Silverchair, my 2 favorites. I've always really loved. I'm much more into the magical realism of kids from our world go to a magic place, not Knock the Troll and Schnordeldor the Dragon. So like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, that high fantasy stuff, not my thing. Which is totally nothing against it. If you like it, great. There are a lot of people who do. It just does not send me. So the Chronicles of Narnia, definitely. The Bobbsey twins, which no one really remembers, especially under the age of about 40. The Bobbsey twins were by the same group that did Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. They were all that same publisher guy came up with these pseudonyms and these series. And the Bobbsey twins actually started first. They date back to the very, 1902, 1903. And they were more slice of life in the beginning, and then after the popularity of Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, they got rebranded with mysteries. And they're kind of forgotten for 2 reasons. The biggest of which is the family was a well-to-do white family who had a black housekeeper and a black handyman who may or may not have lived with them. It's been long enough now, I don't remember if they lived there or not. So the combination of that, and then the fact that the characters spoke in down-home Southern black, it kind of really dates them. And they did reissue the first 6 in the early 90s, and they rebooted the series as well around the same time, and they got rid of all of the dialect to the housekeeper, and her husband, the handyman, and that resolved that sort of, but it was still the white family black house help that doesn't really jive. And the newer series just completely got rid of the characters. They don't exist. So that's part of why. And then because they generally stilted younger, it was 2 sets of twins, Bert and Nan, who were the older twins, and Flossie and Freddie, who were the younger twins. I think at most Bert and Nan were maybe 10, whereas Nancy and Frank and Joe Hardy were much older, so they had to be safer. So it just sort of, I think they sort of fell out of favor. Probably a little too twee. But I really loved them, and I still do. And then a more modern one is the Series of Unfortunate Events. I will say, though, I always skip 2, 3, and 4 because when I reread them, because it's the same book as before. They're just the exact same book, just different character, different disguise for Count Olaf. But I really love how, as the series progresses, it actually gets a lot darker. I think it actually, to some degree, gets darker than Harry Potter ever does, because the children are forced to become quasi-villains themselves. And it really questions the notion of ends justifying the means, and where is good versus evil, where does it all fall? And the vocabulary in it is phenomenal, and I really like that series. But I do skip 2, 3, and 4 because they're pointless. Let's see. Thank you to everyone who wished me luck with the move. Obviously, we survived. Trying to see if there are any other questions. Rosie Suze asked, what's the favorite project you've ever done and what type of finish? I will come back to that one later because... Oh, wait, actually, it's right over here. Probably my Chatelaine. Even though it was a bit of a headache and it's still not totally finished, I still really love it. So here's good old Myrtle the Octopus for those who've forgotten. And this is how I finished it. Well, when it's finished, I've got to resolve the back part, but... Ta-da! Sparkly shiny. So, I'm going to set you here for now. Alright. A hand-dyed floss and a Christmas red and green. For Stephanie Watson. I know Weeks Dye Works makes one that I think is red, white, and green. I've got one from Water Lilies. I don't do typically the multiple colors in one skein together, so I really don't have a suggestion there. I would actually probably refer you to Katie the Stash Queen, because she does use those. Linda Bazarski Baaaaack asked if I use all the flosses or am I a stasher mix. I try to use them all. I don't always, and I'm still new enough that I could still, but yes. Sally Cynical asked me what I thought about hand-dyed fabrics, and do they detract from the design? I'm very careful. I'm to pick colors that I think will complement the design, but I want the design to be the prominent thing. I can't speak to others, but I personally don't think so if you're using them correctly, or at least what I consider to be correctly. Joe, I will come back to your math later. I sat down and tried to do that, and it gave me a headache. So we'll try that one another time. Question, what is in your stitchy bag, tote, satchel, or man bag, and what do you call that bag? Can we see inside it? You can, once it's completely unearthed. It is just a bag. I just call it my bag, I guess. It's a tote bag with the Oz... Actually, I can show you the outside of it. It's back here. But it says, Break for Coffee Oz Style. And it's the Ozcast drinking coffee. Because of course. And usually it's just my project bag. I don't really keep anything special in it. Angie Hour asks me, do I have an ultimate life achievement pattern you want to do one day? I guess right now it's probably the giant Harry Potter sampler. But it changes constantly. Green Tigress Crafts. What fabric am I using for Raven Queen / Regina? I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to do Raven Queen or if I'm going to color invert her and make her the White Witch from Narnia. So I really don't have an answer for you. If I do Raven Queen, probably it's an orange that I got. I think it's Jack-o'-lantern from Die Stitch Love. Pam, Karen Watercolors, I think you'll be just fine using it's a 3-ply cotton. It's going to be a little thicker, so you'll only want to use one strand, but I think it's going to work just fine for you. And I think that's everything. There we go. So, we're going to do my haul. Hopefully next week I'll have more to go over. This was my Just the Threads for February. It's called Chocolate Covered Cherries. And it came with a skein of Astilbe from Dragonfly Lotus. Very nice pink. It came with a Wildflowers called Suede. Ta-da! Sort of a brown and white and tan. A Pure Palette Baroque Silk, which is the soy floss, and Sapling, which is some browns and greens. A Vineyard Silk, which I'm loving Vineyard Silk, and Conch, or Conch. And it's a lot more pink than it's showing there. And then, from Planet Earth, Silk Opal floss. This is a silk. It's scarlet, and it's red and sparkly, and I like it because it's red and sparkly. So, another fabulous job, Liz. I really love this packaging. This is a really awesome packaging. Look at this. How cool is this? Okay, that's enough. Okay, so update-wise, I grabbed my, Magical Creatures. There was a lot of drama with this one. So those flosses that I ordered specifically, or bought specifically for the Phoenix, yeah, they were the wrong color. Or, not the wrong color, they were the wrong size. And I got one that was for, like, 11 count cross stitch. Because I didn't realize there were sizes. So I used some Krynic Silk Mori for the red and the orange and the yellow, and I actually tweeted the orange and red together to get the fourth color. We've got a little hinge. I am going to use beads for the center of the flames, and again, the other flames are going to be done later. But there's Fox. I think I'm going to have to use a different color for March, because that just doesn't show up. But there he is. He was a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed stitching him. He looks super cool. So, and I used a slightly darker blue than what was charted, just so it would show up a little better. So there you go. there's my Phoenix. So, and like I said, March is just, I think, going to have to be a different color floss because that's just not showing up at all. I don't know, it happens. So there we go. Next month is the Lawn Gnome, my birthday month. So I will be, I guess I'm going to actually start picking colors soon because we're to the end of March almost. Alright, and then here's where I'm at on London. I've been working on this, I've had a little bit of time to stitch, not a lot. I've really only got the white. I've got to get something for his hat. It's going to be sort of black and fuzzy, and then the water, and then the stuff up here. So I should finish it here in a day or two. And then I'm doing mostly Monogamous March with Stitch Mania, and I will be going to one of my projects. I don't know which one. It's either going to be Blue Jeans and Daisies, Wizard of Oz, Fairy Tales book, or the wild card, Sea Flora. We don't know yet, though. So we will decide that once I get done with London, and we move away from jolly old England. So there we go. Yeah. So that's my video. It's short. I know I kind of breezed through the questions. If someone needs me to explain further on something, please don't be afraid to say so. Drop me some comments. There will be a essay on Scarecrow next week, because I should finish him. I've got to just put the beads on and that. Until things are settled, I'm not going to show an Oz item, so Emerald City March may be not happening, and I'm very sorry for that. But that's just kind of how things happened. Yeah. So, there's all of those things. I know I'm getting an order from Stitchy Box. I don't think I'm getting anything else coming soon, though. Don't think, at least. So, anyhow, that's everything from me tonight. So I hope everyone's doing well, and I will talk to you all soon.